Well, Sean, yesterday was an interesting day for you. You had mentioned it was the first time in a long time that you didn't have any action in your account. Boy, I don't know. How did you get through that?
Well, Saratoga opened up, so we talk about the horses. So I was able to play some horses and just look at some of the baseball today, which we have a full lineup today. So
Yeah, a lot of
definitely,
baseball today for sure. Yes.
I should have
For
taken
me
your I
yesterday,
should have taken your soccer though.
you should have. I was thinking about actually lifting those numbers. Like 2.5 to me for both games was kind of like the low threshold. And it was the first place where I got a plus line. And I was pretty confident that both games would go over 2.5. But the Canadian game had me a little bit worried in the first half because I was hoping to get I think the score was 1-0 at halftime. So I was like a little bit, yeah, maybe. And then they came out and scored right away. And I figured, they'll get at least one more goal before the game ends. And then the U.S. was 2-0 at halftime. And I knew that they were going to be good for more goals in the second half because they had a ton of shots on goal. And eventually, you figured some against lesser quality were going to find their way in to the back of the net. And that's exactly what happened. So I cashed that out. And now that's put me within $5, I think, of being above water again. So hopefully I can find a couple of winners today, get myself to the green, to the plus, and then just work my way up from here.
Yeah, it was funny because Hillary was watching the U.S. game last night. She was asking me if that own goal that they scored against themselves, not U.S., but the other team, counted for you and stuff. And then they were up like 5-1 or 6-1, and she's upstairs, and I'm asking her if she's okay because she was making all kinds of noise when they almost scored again. So she was really into the game last night.
I hope she bet it. She's smarter than the smart one in the house.
No, she's not. She's not much of a better.
Oh, she's not much of a better, but she is a smart one in the house.
Well, yeah, that's not denying that.
That's the way it goes in every house, isn't it? No matter how smart the guy is, he's never as smart. It's just the way of the world through eternity and through eternity for certain. So yeah, but as you mentioned, we got a lot of stuff going on today. We got baseball back after some COVID tests yesterday, killed the only other baseball game. And what I find interesting about that is you had 6 Yankees test positive, or at least 3 that tested positive and 3 that they were expecting results that might be positive. But the 3 dudes who tested positive were all vaccinated. What is going on? It's the same thing that happened with that North Carolina State baseball team that got knocked out of the NCAA World Series. All the unvaccinated kids tested negative, and the vaccinated kids are testing positive. What is up with that?
I don't know, but it's starting to get scary too. I think in California or somewhere they just put mandated mask order again too. So hopefully it does not work its way back and we have to deal with all that again and cancellations and everything else.
Yeah, that was in Los Angeles. I mean, to me, that's just, I can understand unvaccinated people testing positive, but what are with the vaccinated people testing positive when the unvaccinated people in the same environment aren't testing positive? It just seems kind of backwards to me.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's also, I mean, the more people we get vaccinated, the better chance those vaccinated people don't have a chance of getting it too, because you're still not covered with it. So you need everybody's
I'm not
cooperation.
a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea. I'm just a mad scientist with the numbers, trying to figure out which baseball team is going to win. Trying to figure out who's vaccinated and unvaccinated and how all that efficacy works and whether you're going to get COVID or the flu or whatever after you get a vaccine. It's funny because every year it's different. I'm not anti-vaxxer. I'm just a math guy, right? I'm all about numbers. So I went to the doctor and he asked me if I wanted a flu shot. And I said to him, well, why should I get a flu shot? And he said, well, to help you with the flu. And so I asked him, I said, Doc, you know what the odds are of getting the flu if you don't have a shot? And he said, well, I'm sure you do. What are they? And I said, well, it's 20% the odds of you getting the flu without a shot. And I asked him, do you know what the odds are of getting the flu with the shot? And you know what they are?
Probably 20%.
It's exactly the same. So like, well, why would I get it? So I have an 80% chance not to get the flu. Either if I'm vaccinated against the flu or not vaccinated. I don't understand why would I do it then. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I never got it until Hillary was pregnant with her 3.5-year-old Blake. And at that point, the doctors pushed us. And I still argued because she got vaccinated, so he was vaccinated. with the flu shot. And I said, well, if they both are, why do I need to get it? But it was the same thing that we have with the argument with the COVID. It just protects them even more. So every year since I've gotten it, not my favorite thing, but it hasn't burned me yet. So I've just...
Yeah, I can say I'm not anti-vax or any stretch of the imagination. I'm just, like I said, I am just a numbers guy. And for me, if the numbers don't change, what's the point? It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, we're not here to talk about vaccinations. We're here to talk about baseball starting, and then we'll go on to Gold Cup soccer. And then, of course, we'll round out the day. Close the show like we always do. So baseball today, a big slate of games. Let's take a look at what we have on the roster, see what we like. For me today, it was kind of a tough card because a lot of where Vegas put the lines seems to be spot on for me.
Okay. I have 3 baseball plays today, so I like the card.
I have 2 reluctant. Well, I have one game that I absolutely love, one game that I'm reluctant on, and then I'll have another goals parlay at the back end. But the goals parlay won't be official today. But I feel like it's still a good play. I will play it in my account personally, but I'm not going to put it on my Moneyline Madman scorecard. All right, so let's get started. First game of the day, starting in a little bit. The Miami Marlins are visiting the Philadelphia Phillies in the first game of a doubleheader. Right now, the Marlins are the favorite in this game, -134. The home Phillies are +124. Any chance you're going to take the home team there or not?
No, I'm not touching either. There's a couple doubleheaders today, and I'm not touching either game for either part of it, either team. Mm-hmm. Just didn't feel comfortable with the teams that are playing them. You got the 7-inning thing, so you got to be really comfortable with it. Uh-huh. And I didn't see any value that I really liked.
Yeah, in that first game, the Phillies actually are taking in 72 cents on the dollar for every bet, but the Marlins are catching the most tickets. So it looks like the smart money's on the Phillies here, although Miami has done a pretty good job against lefties, and I feel like Miami's probably going to get this game. Starting pitcher Alcantara is much better than Moore, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next game is the Philadelphia Phillies. I am the Philadelphia Phillies, New York Mets, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was on Pittsburgh last time Stroman pitched against them in that 7-inning first game of a doubleheader, and Stroman got kind of lit up a little bit by those Pirates. Think they're going to light him up again?
I would doubt it. I wouldn't bet on it. But I also wouldn't bet the Mets giving up a run and a half, and that's the only way you're going to get a value here.
Yeah, right now in that game with the Mets and the Pirates, they're taking on 79% or 80% of all the bets. There's really not a breakdown of the money yet in that game. So clearly most people favor the Mets. I feel like if I was going to take a side in this game, I would actually take the Pittsburgh side in this game. Pittsburgh has a better road home record in terms of win percentage than the Mets do on the road. And the run differential actually favors the Pirates. And like I said, last time out, Stroman got lit up a little bit. But overall, the Mets are a better team. They're going to make a push in the second half to secure that division title. But I'm not going to bet it, but I would absolutely tilt towards the Pirates if I were going to take some play in this game.
I feel like you could get plus value with better teams somewhere else. Especially, like you said, Stroman's been pretty good. I know that last game against Pittsburgh, he did get lit up, which sometimes is a sign of things, but could have just been a bad outing too, and he'll rebound right here.
Well, you would expect him to. San Diego versus Washington. San Diego's -130. -150 right now, it looks like, or -134, somewhere in that range, versus Washington, +124. Looking at this game right now, it seems like the bettors are on, well, only 20% of the tickets are on the Padres and 80% are on the Washington Nationals, but a lot of the money, almost 2 out of every 3 cents, is bet on the Padres.
So this was interesting. This was one of the first games that caught my eye today. I saw Chris Paddock versus Eric Fetty. Paddock's been struggling. Padres have kind of
hammered against the Washington Nationals.
Kind of been struggling. So I'm thinking, in Washington, then I looked at the odds. Washington, and it's only a little bit of a plus line. And then one stat kept me completely away. Washington as an underdog is 15-34. And I just couldn't trust that at that point.
No, well, yesterday, I can't take that game either. If I were going to pick a side, I'd probably pick San Diego, but I'm not going to bet that game because I don't see any value in it whatsoever at all. So we'll talk a little bit about Boston and New York. We talked about it yesterday. It looks like they're going to play despite the COVID. It must be that it's been contained. I didn't like Boston yesterday. All my metrics say play Boston. I don't like them today because the line has shifted some more into their favor. And as a result, I don't like it. The New York Yankees are minus 120. I feel like this is the Yankees game to win.
Possibly, but we probably have players missing here too for the Yankees. So I'm staying away completely on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure of the unknown on what happened yesterday and who's playing, who's not playing.
Well, and then you got the second game between Miami and the Philadelphia Phillies. You have Efren versus Alcantara. On that game, he's pitching right now, Alcantara. So that's what they had listed pitching. But
we're at Ross Detweiler.
Detweiler. So this game, the Phillies are minus 170. Almost took the Phillies in this spot. But Eflin has lost 3 in a row to the Marlins.
Yeah, and he's one of those pitchers that just sometimes comes out and doesn't have it and completely gets lit up. So, again, 7-inning doubleheader game. Don't trust either team. Pitching matchup, I can't really. I mean, yeah, give the Phillies a little bit of an edge, but if he does come out and looks hard, complete stay away from me.
Yeah, it's the same here. Texas, the highest. Texas versus the highest scoring or one of the best batting home teams in all of baseball, despite the fact that they really don't have a home stadium, right? They play in Tampa. They play in Buffalo. Toronto. What do you think about Toronto, Texas? Toronto wins this game. Even looking at I tried to look to see if the run line made any sense, and the run line's like minus 140. I can't play a run line minus 140, and I can't play Toronto minus 250. I just not on this game.
Yeah, my exact thoughts. I mean, you're probably going to win by 2 or more runs, but it's baseball and it's one game and you're getting no value at all for that. So I couldn't do it.
Makes no sense to me either. The Brewers and Cincinnati, this is a very important game because it starts off the second half of the year. These two teams are in contention for the NL Central Division. Right now, Milwaukee has the lead, but Cincinnati has been all over Milwaukee so far this year. You're catching the Milwaukee team with a plus line on the road. I think they have the best road pitching, the Brewers, versus the Reds, where you're a minus like 130-ish if you like the Reds. And so far, about 60% of the tickets are on the Brewers, but a whopping more than 80 cents out of every dollar on Cincinnati at home.
So this is one of my official plays. I'm taking Cincinnati and that money line right there. Cincinnati is 8-5 versus Milwaukee this year, like you said. Cincinnati's 9-2 in their last 11 before the break. Milwaukee was 2-6. Cincinnati has 10 home runs and 103 at bats versus Adrian Hauser, Milwaukee's starting pitcher today. Mm-hmm. Jesse Winker is 9 for 18 with 5 of those home runs. So Cincinnati seems to be pretty good with against Hauser. Cincinnati's been playing better. I said yesterday, I think Cincinnati has a shot to steal this division from Milwaukee. I think
if they're going to have to, it's going to have to start today, right?
Yeah, they're already 8-5 versus Milwaukee, but yes, they got to get these games when they can.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like just looking at this game, that strong pitching staff from Milwaukee had me tempted to take Milwaukee. They do have the home away, actually as anemic as their offense has been and as strong as Cincinnati's has been. Milwaukee actually has a slight edge in the home away run differential. But Cincinnati has a little bit better power edge at home than Milwaukee has on the road. I think this game is probably a 50-50 game. If I were going to bet a 50-50 game, I got to take the plus line. I would take Milwaukee on this side, but I'm not going to take either side of this game.
Yeah, and a lot of the things, too, and I looked at it, is these two teams seem to play a lot with the under. So the under 9 was interesting as well. But it is in Cincinnati, not Milwaukee. I mean, both are kind of hitters' parks anyway.
I love totals in baseball.
Yeah, and also the fact that Cincinnati's had so much success against Adrian Hauser, that turned me off on the under.
Tampa Bay versus their old pitcher, Charlie Morton, and I mean old in the age sense, Charlie Morton for Atlanta. They're going to start their second half of the season without their star outfielder, Acuna Jr. They did trade for my Chicago Cubs, Jock Peterson. I knew Rafael Acuna. I do tell you, Jock Peterson, you're no Acuna, to steal from a line out of I think it was Lloyd Benson versus what was the guy's name? Dan Quayle. Anyway, that's for you youngsters. Google it. Tampa and Atlanta. I was kind of going to take Atlanta on this side, but I don't trust their offense without their leader.
Yeah, and I'm a Braves fan, and I could never get a handle on this team. When I bet them, they lose. When I bet against them, they win. And Tampa seems to kind of be that team too. Every time I bet Tampa, they score 0 or 1 run and they get crushed. So I had to stay away from this game completely.
Yeah, and looking at the game right now, Tampa's taking about 53% of the money. Of the bets, and a little more than half, but the Braves are taking the action. So it looks like most of the public agrees with me that Atlanta might win, but they're not really completely sold on it whatsoever at all. So the next game is Baltimore versus Kansas City, the battle of titans between these two. Sean, I actually like one side of this game. How about you?
Yeah, I would think I was waiting for the pitching matchup on this one.
Duffy.
Yeah, now that we got Duffy, Baltimore's pitchers just keeps getting lit up. So
Keegan Aiken.
Yeah, I would take Kansas City here.
Well, I'm going to run line the Kansas City Royals at home against Baltimore. Danny Duffy at home has a 2.49 ERA. Keegan Aiken 0-3 on the road with an 8.42 ERA. So maybe he can regress to the mean and maybe come down a little bit on that ERA. But he's given up at least 4 runs in his last 5 innings, whereas Dan Duffy's given up 3 runs at home in his starts, so he's not really let up a run. Kansas City's offense at home averages up almost close to 5 runs a game. Baltimore's offense on the road about 4 runs. So it's about a 1-run game just based upon averages, but that pitching matchup absolutely favors Kansas City. So I'm taking Kansas City, official bet, $25. This is my plus line for the day on the run line. And this is the one that's going to get me back above water, my friend.
Yeah, and that's a good play. I did my 3 plays before I saw this one because, like I said, they weren't listing Kansas City's pitcher, and I'm not gonna bet a game without seeing the starting pitcher. But now seeing it, I think you got a good play there.
Even the minus 155 on the money line is presents value, so you could take that as well. But I just feel like this is a game that Kansas City is going to light up a pitcher who struggled on the road. Their pitcher's been at home, so I can see Kansas City getting 4 or 5 runs and holding Baltimore to maybe 2, 3. And as such, I'm going to hopefully put that one in the check mark in the win column. And then now we'll move on to the I think probably it could be an ALCS preview between the Houston Astros and the Chicago White Sox. Surprisingly, Houston on the road is the favorite, in the White Sox at home as the best baseball record in terms of win percent is the underdog. Is there any value in taking the White Sox at home?
Now, Houston's really good against really good teams. I mean, I was looking at this earlier, try to go which way, and I was actually leaning towards Houston, but then I saw White Sox's home record, and it's crazy good. They're got to be like the best in the league. So I couldn't go either way here. I mean, to me, it was kind of like a 50-50 game. I would trust Houston more, and I think Houston would be the winner of the game. So that's why I couldn't go the White Sox even with the plus value.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 game. White Sox do own the home away power ranking advantage. It's 50-50 on the run line differential, which to me is kind of amazing because Houston has one of the top run line differentials in all of baseball. So the fact that that's 50-50, I think, speaks well for the White Sox at home. And like you said, the White Sox just destroy people at home. So 50-50 game, White Sox are a plus line. I mean, just from a pure value standpoint, I think there is value in taking home teams. On average, in going back for years and years and years, the home team in baseball wins at about 54%. So if you can get a plus line on something that hits at 54%, may not happen today, but over the course of time, that should generate a positive ROI for you. I don't know that it will today in the White Sox game, but there's a chance that it could.
I'll give you a stat to stay away from the White Sox. They are 6-13 as an underdog. Yeah. So when they're under, usually Vegas gets it right to put them as the underdog.
Yeah, they usually do. San Francisco versus St. Louis Cardinals. Two teams headed in opposite directions as they kind of came towards the All-Star break.
Yeah. The only thing I looked at this and found intriguing was possibly the under. This is a pretty good pitching matchup. Kevin Guzman versus Adam Wainwright. But even that, I didn't make an official bet. Maybe I'll play later on my own account. That's the only thing I found intriguing here.
Yeah, I figured that would be an under game too. But like I said, I hate baseball unders. To me, it's going to be a great pitching matchup for sure. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game through the first 5-6 innings, right? And then the bullpens have to come into action. And then clearly there, San Francisco has a major advantage over the St. Louis Cardinals. And when you look at San Francisco, they've just feasted on teams under 500. Right now, they're 33-15 against clubs that aren't, one game above 500. And whereas the Cardinals are 7-24 versus teams that are above 500. So you got a team that can't beat teams over 500 and a team that mops teams that are under 500. This is my second play. I'm going to take San Francisco minus the 135. I think this is you're getting good value with San Francisco here. They have a significant run differential advantage, significant power ranking advantage. They are by far the superior team, and you should be paying a lot more than minus 135 for them. And there'd be somewhere between 125 and minus 135. So I'm going to go ahead and take them at minus 130. The the Giants, and that's my second pick of the day because that number 5 bullpen at the end of the game will outpitch the number 19 bullpen and allow San Francisco the road win.
And I agree.
Dodgers, Colorado. Man, I cannot tell you how tempted I am to take Colorado in this game against the Dodgers.
I could see that being at home. We always talk about Colorado at home. It's a totally different team, and you're going to get value here. But I've been on the Dodgers are getting set to roll here, so I couldn't touch it because Colorado. Dodgers have a really good offense, and in Coors Field, they could just light Colorado up.
Yeah, well, of course, they're the better team. They should win this game, but I feel like plus 170. I feel like the Colorado has a far better because plus 170 means Colorado has a 37% chance to win this game. They're winning at home in excess of 60%. The Dodgers are winning over 50% of their games on the road. The pitching matchup doesn't favor the Dodgers by, I think, a 2-1 margin. It just from the math side of things, Colorado makes a lot of sense if you're looking for a big priced underdog today. To me, of all the high priced underdogs, Colorado is the one that makes the most sense to me. I'm not going to take them, but if I forced to pick something, family's heritage, family line, we're on the line. I would definitely take Colorado here. Seattle and LA Angels at home. This is another game that intrigues me. The line is pretty heavy on the Los Angeles Angels. They're minus 130, 140, 145-ish right now at home. They run differential and all that kind of good stuff is heavily in their favor. So it looks on paper like Los Angeles should dominate this game. Minus 145 looks like it's more than a fair line.
So I'm totally the opposite way. I am taking Seattle as an official play here, plus 130. They got the better pitcher going, Chris Flexen versus Andrew Haney, and Seattle's 37-32 as the underdog. They're 6-4 versus the Angels this year, and they also do well against left-handed pitching, 18-13 record.
That's what I was going to bring up. That I was going to think about taking the Angels on this side because all the numbers match up, but then I looked at their record, Seattle against left-handed pitching, and I quickly took it the white out and said I am not going with this game. And
the Angels are. I guess about where you should be favored. They're 26-22, so they're not that great as the favorite. So I like Seattle here.
Yeah, the money is on the number of tickets are on Seattle right now. They have a little bit more than about a 55-45% edge, but the money About 60 cents out of every dollar is on the Angels, which surprises me because of that record that Seattle has against lefties. And like you mentioned, they have the better pitcher going. But when you look at that home away run differential, it's lopsided. That's to me, I got those contradicting points. I can't do it. My Cubs against against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Cubs are sellers. It's only you're just on the calendar till Bryant's gone, till Rizzo's gone, till Baez is gone, till catcher is gone. This team is going to get blown up in the next couple of days. Are they going to get blown up by Arizona because everybody's worried about where they're going to be playing in a week?
I mean, it's possible. This is a game there's tons of better games to bet on because you can't trust the Cubs and Arizona's just bad. So, and you're also not getting enough value, I don't think, plus 136 or whatever. If it was plus 170, 180, you could think about Arizona, but I'm finding stuff other places.
To me, Arizona is borderline a play. I mean, it's right there. If I just don't, I can't trust Arizona at all. Madison Bumgarner, I can't trust him either because he throws batting practice fastball. He could be the pitcher next year for every batter in the home run derby. He'd probably be a little bit more accurate than some of the batting practice pitchers they brought along and help other batters, get in the groove. But believe it or not, as bad as Arizona's been, they have the power ranking advantage. They have a pretty nice home run away run differential advantage relative to the Cubs. Cubs suck on the road. They win at about 35%. Arizona sucks everywhere, but at home they win at about 35%. It's a 50-50 game, and you're getting plus 135 with Arizona. To me, I mean, this is clearly an opportunity to take the Diamondbacks. And Hendricks, the Cubs starting pitcher, is much different on the road than he is at home. I know this from living in Chicago and watching him pitch. If I were going to bet on this game, this is a real, I mean, this close to being, I'll probably bet it in my real account, but I'm not going to make it official. But I feel pretty good about Arizona's chances to come away with the W.
Yeah, I could see that. I was just disappointed with the value. I thought you might get a little bit more value, and like I said, there's other bets, other places that I feel more comfortable with.
Cleveland and Oakland to wrap up the night. Oakland is a huge favorite, minus about 200 against Cleveland. Again, here you have a case of one team has a pretty good – I mean, the one thing I'm looking at here is Vegas has got this – they're making you way overpay for Oakland today, which tells me their models have Oakland as pretty much a lock to win this spot.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to run line Oakland, give up the 1.5. The pitching matchup is just – I mean, Oakland's the better team anyway, and the pitching matchup is Eli Morgan for Cleveland has an ERA over 8. And then Chris Bissett's been really good for Oakland, record of 10-2 and with an ERA of 3.28. So I see no reason why Oakland doesn't win this game and no reason they don't win it by 2+.
So you're taking you're going run line on that one?
Yep, minus a 1.5 at minus 105.
I just do not like it's a cardinal rule of mine. Run lines have to be a plus number for me.
Well, the minus 105 close enough.
It's not plus. It's not close enough. It's plus. It's to me. It's just been from my experience that if I'm going to take the run line, I got to get a plus number to do it. And if I'm not getting the plus line, no matter how attractive it is, I can't do it. I mean, look at Toronto and Texas today. Toronto probably wins by 9-3 or something silly like that.
I just think the starting pitching matchup is so much more lopsided in this one than that one. That's why I was able to trust it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're putting you're putting it on the line, so to speak. So, all right, well, that wraps up baseball. So Sean likes the run line in Oakland, and then what was the other play?
I like Seattle money line plus 130, and then Cincinnati, I believe it's minus 130, minus 135 over the Brewers.
And I'm taking Thomas Carley says he loves the show. Thank you, Thomas. We love your comments. And I mean that seriously. We also, I'm taking Kansas City minus 1.5. And then I'm also taking the San Francisco. I keep wanting to call them the 49ers. Must have something to do with Richard Sherman in the news. But he's not with the 49ers anymore. But anyway, Richard, get it all together, my man. You're a good football player. You're better than that. Now we're going to go on to soccer, man. Where else can you go to get I think I've only missed on one of these soccer plays so far in the Gold Cup. So tell Hillary to put on her smart cap and cast you aside. This is what we're going to do tonight in the Gold Cup. You got Guadeloupe versus Jamaica. Jamaica wins the game. And then we have Suriname versus Costa Rica. Costa Rica wins the game. They're both big favorites. If you put them together in a parlay, it's like minus 260. That's not, to me, you're not parlaying for 260. So I'm going to follow up what I did last night again tonight. In the Guadeloupe game versus Jamaica, I'm going to go over 1.5 goals, and I'm going to parlay that with Costa Rica versus Suriname over 3.5 goals. Costa Rica should be able to score 4 on their own. That total works out to be plus 161. So Guadeloupe, Jamaica over 1.5. Suriname, Costa Rica over 3.5. I'm doing it in my personal account. I'm not doing it as an official bet, but that's where I'm going in the Gold Cup today.
Yeah, so you've been really good on the soccer. We got background music at this point with my son. So
now's your chance to do the TikTok dance. That's the tools, huh?
I don't have any tools handy, so I lucked out there.
Forget the tools then. Let's just see your moves.
That's okay. You've been really good on the soccer, so I would just blindly follow you on that one.
Yeah, well, hopefully that pays out. To me, the Jamaica game versus Guadeloupe should go over 2. Jamaica should get 2 themselves, but it's the Costa Rica game versus Suriname. But they've scored over 5 goals in the last couple times they've met. Costa Rica should challenge 4 goals by themselves. If they get 3, I expect Suriname to get at least 1. Costa Rica makes at least 1 dumb mistake a game, which will allow Suriname to get a goal if they can capitalize. So that's where I'm at on that. That wraps up the show for today. Sean, tomorrow I'll be live from Monmouth Park. No whip, no Lasix, but a lot of picks. I should definitely get them right?
Yeah, you're going to be live from Monmouth Park?
Well, live from Monmouth Park contest.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind transporting myself out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So make sure you head over to our sponsor, Horse Racing Radar. Get in the contest. It's $100. It's absolutely free. If you win, it's money in your account. You can head on over to whatever you're using for your booking and to go ahead and follow Sean and I, Moneyline Madmen Bets. Anything else? Where can they follow us right now, Sean?
Facebook and Twitter, Moneyline Madmen. And then obviously the YouTube too. Just keep subscribing to the channel. Keep telling your friends. The more we grow, the better.
Yeah, and just one quick heads up in the golf thing. Most of the guys that I mentioned are the only one I missed was, well, not that I missed, but Bryson made the cut by 1 stroke. I thought, come on, miss one. I mean, I don't like rooting against guys, but Patrick Ray did miss the cut at plus 225. Rory did make the cut. As far as the other players that I talked about, I think the only one that didn't make the cut was Stuart Sink. Had a really bad day. I put in a golf team on DraftKings. All 6 of my guys made the cut. So if you make the cut with 6 out of 6, I've never cashed, right? I mean, never not cashed. Right now, I'm a few points out of the money, but with 6 guys left, it's just a matter of how high up the leaderboard I'm going to go. When MoneylineMadman.com comes online, I will be putting out my fantasy golf rankings. I'll be putting out my fantasy football rankings. I don't do baseball. I don't do basketball or hockey. Just way too many games, way too many. It's just too much work and not enough value in that because, Chris Bryant can go 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position like he does more often than not.
Yeah, and that's hard. It's just every day, and
it's a grind.
Yeah, you got players playing and your opponent doesn't. It's all over the place. Very tough.
That's why I like doing daily fantasy, because then you're just dealing with players you're playing. All right, folks. Well, that wraps up the show today. We'll be back tomorrow. Too early for me. 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. We got a ton to talk about tomorrow. NBA playoffs resume. Baseball tomorrow. More Gold Cup, and then some UFC fights maybe even. So there's plenty to talk about tomorrow. Until then, folks, may all of your tickets be winners, just like Sean.